You've apologized for your tears. You've called yourself too sensitive. You've told yourself to toughen up. But what if crying easily isn't a flaw in your character? It's a feature of your neurology. The science says something most people haven't heard yet, and it completely changes the story. In this video, we're going to look at what actually causes some people to cry more than others, not the pop psychology version, the real peer-reviewed version. We'll cover the neuroscience behind emotional tears, what your crying threshold reveals about your nervous system, and the one cognitive trait that almost always appears in people who cry easily. By the time we reach point 3, you'll understand why some of the most high-functioning people you know are also the ones who cry in adverts. This isn't speculation. A 2021 study from University College London found that individuals with higher emotional reactivity showed distinct patterns in amygdala activation, the brain's threat and emotion processing center. And research published in the British Journal of Psychology suggests that the tendency to cry is not simply a learned habit. It reflects measurable differences in how the nervous system processes stimuli. Point 1. The sensitive nervous system. Some people are born with a nervous system that processes information more intensely. Psychologist Aron called this trait sensory processing sensitivity, or high sensitivity. It means the brain takes in more data, processes it more deeply, and responds more strongly to emotional stimuli, including other people's emotions. A 2018 study published in the journal Brain and Behaviour found that highly sensitive people show greater activation in areas linked to empathy and awareness when viewing emotional images. In practical terms, if you cry when someone else is crying or feel overwhelmed in loud, busy environments, this may well be why. Your nervous system isn't broken, it's calibrated differently. Think about the last time you cried somewhere unexpected. Was it triggered by something you saw or something you felt in the room? Keep that in mind for point 3. Point 2. The empathy connection. People who cry easily tend to score higher on measures of cognitive and affective empathy. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand another person's perspective. Affective empathy is actually feeling what they feel. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh found that individuals with higher affective empathy showed stronger physiological responses to emotional content, including elevated heart rate and notably more frequent tearing. What's striking here is the implication for everyday life. If you work in a caring profession, nursing, teaching, social work, or simply in a role where you spend time with people under pressure, high empathy is an asset. It is also exhausting. NHS data consistently shows that burnout is highest among workers who score highest on empathic concern. So crying easily and burning out easily, those aren't separate problems. They often come from the same place. What I'm about to say in point 3 completely reframes what empathy costs you and what it gives back. Point 3. Emotional intelligence and regulation. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Research from King's College London, published in Emotion, a peer-reviewed journal, found that the ability to cry in response to art, music, or other people's distress correlates positively with what psychologists call mentalizing ability. Mentalizing is the capacity to hold multiple emotional realities in mind at once, yours, another person's, and the space between them. It is, to put it mildly, quite a sophisticated cognitive act. This is why so many high-functioning individuals, therapists, leaders, surgeons, writers, report that they cry more, not less, the older and more experienced they become. You might find yourself wondering, if crying is tied to sophistication, why does it still feel embarrassing? Because British culture
and workplace culture especially, has historically conflated emotional expression with emotional instability. Those are not the same thing. If you're still here, here's the part most people miss. Crying isn't a failure to regulate emotion. For many people, it is the regulation. It's the system doing exactly what it's designed to do. Point 4. The social function of tears. Evolutionary psychologists have long argued that emotional tears serve a distinct social function, one with no parallel in any other species. A 2011 study from the Weissman Institute found that human tears contain chemosignals that reduce aggression and elicit caregiving behavior in others. In plain terms, when you cry, your body signals to other humans that you are not a threat and that you need connection. The people around you are neurologically primed to respond with care. It's worth noting that people who suppress tears consistently, particularly in high-pressure British workplace environments, show elevated cortisol levels and report feeling socially disconnected. The tears you hold back don't disappear, they accumulate. At the beginning, I said crying easily might not be a flaw in your character. It might be a feature of your neurology. Now you understand why. A nervous system calibrated for depth, an empathy response that costs something real, a cognitive sophistication that most people mistake for weakness. The secondary hook I planted at the start about high-functioning people crying in adverts, here's the payoff. The people least likely to apologize for their tears are often the ones most worth listening to. Crying easily doesn't mean you feel too much. It might mean you notice more than most. If this changed how you see emotional sensitivity, the next video on why highly intelligent people struggle more than everyone else goes even further, and it's the one most people message me about. And if you want more applied psychology every week without the fluff, subscribing takes about 2 seconds. One question before you go. Which of these 4 points resonated most with you personally? Drop the number below. I read every one.